5 p.m., November 21st, 2023. I call to order this regular Oconee County Council meeting. Let's begin with a moment of silence. Mr. David Root, would you lead us in prayer?
Pray with me if you'd like to. Our Father, dear Father, thank you for this rain, for the healing and growth it's bringing to the land, especially those places that are suffering from drought or drought-like conditions. We thank you. And thank you for your healing altogether and for Deputy Watt's healing, and pray together that healing would keep and continue and he would be restored and even made better by your hand. See your hand in it. You turn all bad things into good, and we are so appreciative of that. We pray that this meeting would go well, and it would be your meeting by your will. Amen.
Mr. David Dow, would you lead us in the pledge?
Absolutely. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
With liberty and justice for all.
Next, we have approval of minutes for the October 17th, 2023 regular council meeting.
The motion to approve.
Motion, Mr. Elliott.
Second.
Second. Any discussion or changes? Hearing none, all in favor?
That's 3-0.
Next, we have county attorney comments. Mr. David Root.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, matter, I need a motion to amend the agenda to remove the Terracon, got it labeled here, it's an action item titled PO 55323 Terracon Phase 2 Construction Testing for the Golden Corner Commerce Park. I need to regather those materials and I have them ready for you at the next meeting.
All right, so motion to remove agenda item for the Terracon bid. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Then we're amending the agenda to remove Terracon Phase 2 construction testing from the agenda.
Okay.
All in favor?
That is 4-0.
Okay, I would like to make an additional, motion to amend the agenda, to add a discussion and/or action item following council member comment, concerning, ballistic protection for an officers, primarily due with, vehicles.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor?
That is 4-0.
And Mr. Chairman, just so I could, I have to have an exigent circumstance for that, since it may have action. Obviously, the recent shooting is that emergent and exigent circumstance where we press forward with that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Root.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next we have county administrator comments, Mr. Amanda Brock.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of council. I do not have anything related to the agenda this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Brock. Public comments.
First, we have Mr. David Dow.
Good evening, council. My name's David Dow. I live in the Richland community, and I just come to you with a bit of concern. About 3 months ago, I heard a rumor, I thought, that our election office had failed a Homeland Security audit. And I thought, I didn't know Homeland Security Administration did audits for election offices, but apparently they did. About a month ago, I heard that actually we had failed that audit 3 times. And I thought, wow, that's something. Well, recently, Mr. Murray came to one of a meeting, and he was asked about this, and he couldn't go into much detail about it. He said that if he did, it would give away the vulnerabilities that our election office has, whatever that is, equipment, storage, whatever. And I thought, well, that's good, but all I'm wanting you folks to do is when you can, and I understand the council's been briefed on these audits, but when you can, to please let the public know, and if you can't do that, please, I know we're not Fulton County. I mean, we've got more integrity in our little finger than Fulton County's got in their whole body, Georgia. But if you guys can just make sure we get this squared away, I sure would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dial. Just a reminder, I forgot at the beginning, it's 5 minutes for public comment. I'll hold up the yellow sign when you approach 4 minutes, red sign when you reach 5 minutes.
Mr. Tom Markovich.
Good evening, thank you, council. I'm here to speak about ordinance 2023-22. The development standards for lighting, buffering, and open space. Needless to say, being in the home building business my entire life, I have issues with this ordinance. I feel like it paints a target on housing, period, especially affordable housing. And more specifically, this ordinance puts a burden only on residential properties, and that's an issue. The lighting is burdened on just residential. In other words, if I'm gonna do a residential project, I've got this lighting thing, but I could have another use that comes in and be right beside me. It might be commercial. It doesn't apply to them. So what good is it gonna do to have a lighting ordinance that only applies to this particular type of residential development? The buffer standards. I had raised this issue in Planning Commission 2 weeks ago, and I'm glad to see that at least somebody noted that there needed to be somebody who's going to end up being responsible for that piece of property in some sense, although I'm not sure it's any real responsibility. Again, this whole issue of buffer standards falls only on residents. And again, that's an issue. I think, housing's taken a hit for things that people want to have everywhere else. And, so when we talk about this is to protect the public, this isn't to protect the public, this is denying housing. That's all it is. There's a lot of questions that come in terms of specifics on that, talking about, let's just say somebody decides to go down and develop a piece of property that's got a big cane patch on it. And if you have to leave that natural vegetation in there in that buffer, so you're gonna leave a cane patch in there, it'll ruin every foundation in that place. I mean, there's just things in here that aren't not thought through. And I question the whole thing with these buffers anyway. And then there's the whole issue of the open space standards. This thing has supposedly applies only to residential properties. The only thing is, the minute you begin to introduce open space standards, that open space is a use. Now, all of a sudden, you got a project that was residential, now it's gonna be multi-use. So what happens to, you have to rezone that, what's gonna happen there? I mean, there's just things there that just don't make any sense. And the other thing is that all of a sudden too, you're gonna have to declare that piece of property, either put covenants on it, and that's a huge issue. It just changes the whole thing. In my opinion, I've studied an awful lot of takings law. This falls right in the niche. I'm sure Mr. Root would disagree with me. Nonetheless, there's takings issues here, no question about it. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Markovich.
Mr. Don Morey.
Good evening, gentlemen. John Morey. Appreciate again this 5 minutes of your special time tonight. While he brought up that ordinance, I want to tell you that from my standpoint of the 37 years I worked with him, that's a very, very good start. You got a long ways to go. Those items that you have pending right now are very, very basic and very, very normal in the real world, which you do not operate in at this time. Looking back, I think I told you you're operating in 1985 standards, and that's where you are. So good work on that. I hope you get that approved. You know, the thing I really want to talk to you tonight is that handout you have in front of you. A lot of us feel in the county that aside from public safety, the county ought to provide roads. So what I've done here is I'll go through these facts real fast for you. 502 miles of county roads. An asphalt road, when it's designed for a 20-year lifespan. That means after 20 years, it's going to start falling apart. And you're going to have to start maintaining it. And it's going to start cracking. It's what we call alligator in the business. And it starts making the public mad. That's where I am tonight. I'm mad. So, and the next item there, I point out to you that in 2022 and 2023, there was 5.96 miles paved in the county at a cost of $199,000 a mile. Next item, in between 2014 and 15 and 21-22 year, we paved 9.67 miles. And between 2014, 15 and 22, 23, you completed repaving of 20.45 miles over a course of 9 years. So I think it was very realistic of me to take semi-recent history and say, you paved 20.45 miles of repaved 20.45 miles of road in 9 years. Okay, so if you take the 502 miles and divide it by the 9 years, it's going to take you 221 years, 3 lifetimes, to repave the roads in the county. Now that would be good if you started today and the roads you have on the ground are all new. And we take the new paving plan and say, let's repave these roads in a cycle that will bring them back to a drivable condition when their lifespan is over at 20 years. So that's what I did in the new paving plan. I took the liberty of helping you out this evening. Y'all don't have time to deal with this yourself. So if you spend $5 million a year and pave 25 miles of road, that's at $200,000 a mile. It'll take you 20 years to repave the 502 miles. And then you'll need to restart that cycle because your roads that you took 20 years to repave have now gone to crap again, so you need to start over. So it's very evident from what we can see here that the county has not, in history, given too much of a damn about taking care of the roads. 3 lifetimes we need. Your lifetime, your sons, your grandsons, and halfway through your great-grandson before they're going to pave that road in front of your house again at your current rate of doing business. I appreciate your thoughts. I hope you can come up with $5 million a year and start to get this repaving program underway. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sheriff Mike Crenshaw.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, council members. I wanted to come and make a few comments, but just to publicly say thank you, as you all represent the citizens of our county. Last Thursday, 19 p.m., evil reared its ugly head in our county. When we heard shots fired, Kilo 6 is down. We've never heard that radio traffic in the history of Oconee County across our radio. The men and women of the sheriff's office didn't hesitate to confront that evil and stop that evil. Right behind that was the citizens of this county supporting and praying for Deputy Lucas Watts, who was shot, his family, the men and women of the sheriff's office, unlike anything that we've ever seen or experienced before. Of people, citizens of this county that were praying for our deputy. Many citizens didn't even know who he was. They never met him. But yet they're praying for our deputy. God intervened and answered those prayers. So we just appreciate everyone that has shown the support toward us. Party affiliation hadn't mattered. I learned today it doesn't matter if you're a Clemson Tiger or a South Carolina Gamecock. Coach Beamer in his press conference in Columbia today acknowledged Corporal Lucas Watts and remember him in prayer. Calls from, and it's expanded, folks. I mean, I've gotten a call from as far away as Pennsylvania, a lady that's making a prayer blanket for Lucas and his family. So, Mr. Chairman, it did not go unnoticed that you were there Thursday night at Greenville Hospital. I didn't get a chance to see you or talk to you a whole lot, but I saw you talking to our deputies, and I want to thank you for coming personally, and I'm sure you're representing all of council members as council chairman there. Madam Administrator, you reached out to me, and I appreciate that. Some of you in here have texted, called, emailed, but it hadn't gone unnoticed as well that we appreciate the prayers that you've surrounded our folks with. We're not done. That's the biggest reason I'm here. Lucas Watts still has a long way to go. You know, he's still in critical condition. From Thursday until today, you know, Haley blessed me with the opportunity to visit with him this morning. And he's making some baby steps. But I'm here to ask for you and our citizens of our county to continue praying for Lucas, continue praying for Haley, his wife, 7-week-old son. You know, that just pray that God will continue to intervene, heal his body. And I told him today when I was holding his hand, I said, "Oh boy," I said, "you ain't never seen a celebration like we're gonna have when you come out of this hospital." So, but thank you again. Thank Oconee County. We've been overwhelmed with just the love, prayer, support. Like I say, it's gotten us all through this, but you know, we're fine. But Lucas still needs our prayers. So I want you to continue to pray for him. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your consideration tonight on your amended motion. I will share with you, it's not something that it's going to hurt our investigation, but we actually had 2 deputy cars that took bullet holes to the windshield that day. The other one barely missed our deputy by just a few inches, or would I had 2 deputies in the hospital, or possibly deceased. But I appreciate you, appreciate your support, and thank you for this time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.
have Ms. Zephyra Benson.
Good evening. My name is Zephyra. I live in the Bayshore community, Oconee County, and I am coming to request a change to Chapter 4 in the ordinances related to animals in the county. The first page you'll see is highlighted with specific changes to that section, mainly in changing wording. It's specific to cats and dogs. I think we are aware now that that's expanded well beyond cats and dogs, and I think the wording should be changed to animals to be broader to cover that range. Also to change the fees associated as well, because they are too low. I think sometimes if you hit people hard enough in the pocketbook, they pay a little bit more attention and they get serious about what they're doing. Also in the top, I added the section from the state's website, so if someone had a question about how that connects to the state law, it's there. It doesn't have to be printed in full like it is here, but maybe a link to the state website so somebody can go back and look and see that connection. On the second paper that I gave you, it is a compilation that I took from different ordinances from throughout the state of South Carolina, from Greenville, Spartanburg, Charleston, even through Landrum and some other areas, to add in to this ordinance some guidelines for persons who want to own fowl specific to chickens, and guidelines in how to keep them, take care of them, not letting them run at large. I'll say for myself, I drive the county quite frequently for my job. Just last week, driving down the road, almost ran over a rooster that was in the middle of the road. There's no reason for it. If you want to have them, I don't particularly care, but keep them confined so they're not a nuisance to other people. But I would just like you guys to take a look at this, consider it, and adding it into the current ordinances, so that we can be more in line with some of the other counties across South Carolina, and also to be respectful of other property owners who have to deal with some of these things at current. Thank you.
That's all for this evening.
That's all. Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have council member comments.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
can I ask the sheriff to come back up and, I guess this family's gonna need a lot of financial support going forward. Can you tell us and the public how we can help?
Yes, sir. We've set up through a nonprofit, a fundraiser through Serve and Connect. 100% of those proceeds will go to this family. The only exception is any processing fees. So if you make a $100 donation, there's a $3 processing fee, and you can choose to make a $103 donation, or that $3 will come out. But outside of that, 100% of these funds will go to this family. For citizens, and I've had this today, some people don't have a credit card, some people don't have a computer or online, that they can bring money to the sheriff's office, and I personally carried them some funds today, to kind of just start helping them out, get them through with expenses of driving back and forth and staying, and all expenses that they're gonna have. So, but if anyone needs that link to that, call 638-4117, and we'll be glad to forward them the link for this one place that we're kind of steering all donations to. Going to be some additional fundraisers. Boone's Buggies is going to be donating a golf cart to the Sheriff's Foundation to auction off. It'll be forthcoming. I contacted today. Several T-shirt sales are ongoing. Oconee Country Club set up a golf tournament for December 9th, I believe it is, and it filled up, so 3 more golf courses are having tournaments on the same date for that as well. So several opportunities that folks can, if they want to get involved and donate through. But if they got any questions, they can call me at the sheriff's office at 638-4117.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
So, I guess not the last planning commission meeting, because they had one yesterday. But planning commission meeting before that one, the Salem residents that have a gun range next to the property came and talked. And, Mr. Chairman, I think you actually spoke with them in the meeting. And for 2 years now, I've tried to find a way to help them out. Can't find a way to help them out. But I don't want it to happen to any other citizens in Oconee County. So noise ordinance, say that right, currently excludes or exempts lawfully operating shooting ranges from the noise ordinance. I would like to change that to not exempt commercial operating shooting ranges. I don't want to stop people from shooting tin cans in their backyard, but I don't want commercial shooting ranges to be exempt going forward from the noise ordinance. So I make a motion that we change that language in the correct way to not exempt commercial operating shooting ranges, and direct staff to bring back a first reading next meeting.
Okay, I'll second the motion. So discussion?
Yeah, I got one question. Mr. Elliott, if we do this, if this goes forward and gets approved, how will it affect the ones that are in place now?
It will.
It won't,
It
they'll
will.
be grandfathered in?
Yeah, that's right, it'll be grandfathered in, so it will be just new ones going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, so I think the key there is commercial operations, for-profit operations, not backyard shooting ranges. Any other questions, discussion? All in favor?
That is 4-0.
Okay, any other comments? Thoughts or concerns?
I do have one comment. I know Mr. Markovich has come up and spoke about these zoning, where's my paperwork? Or development standards. I spoke a little bit with Frankie before the meeting started, development standards. It's becoming a common theme up here. I don't have all the answers, and we as a group here, a team, will have to help with that. But is there a way to employ the public to help write the verbiage for these development standards, or at least give them input to it, instead of us trying to solve it as a county? It's just an idea. It's a touchy subject. And it affects a lot of folks. It affects housing prices. But in my mind too, you want a nice neighborhood, and you want the aesthetics to be nice, but you want it affordable, but you don't want to impede progress. So it's just a comment.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Any other comments? Ms. Benson, I appreciate you bringing this forward. I'll review it and take the time to read it. It is Thanksgiving week, and I think all of us in this room have a lot to be thankful for. Me, myself, I appreciate the sheriff coming up and sharing with us, and I'm thankful that I live in a praying community. And this week we've seen, and I'm thankful for this place, and we've seen the power of prayer at work and what an all-powerful Almighty God can do. And when I was leaving work to go to the hospital, when Miss Brock called me, and she said, "Matt, he's gone." I don't know what else she said. I don't think she could say much else. But then all those prayers started coming through and the miracle, that we have. And like the sheriff said, he's still not out of the woods, still a long ways to go, so just keep praying, keep trusting God. And this Thanksgiving, this community has something tremendously to be thankful for. That's all. All right.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd just like to second what you just said because of, I don't know if we all at times take thoughts of how thankful we should be. We get in certain situations, we start wondering what happened, but we don't really appreciate how thankful we ought to be. And come Thanksgiving, that should be a time, and my family, we try to think about what goodness has come to us in the time that we've been together and how lucky we are for what we have and how God has blessed us. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other comments? Hearing none, we move to public hearing of the following ordinance. Public hearing for ordinance number 2023-18, and ordinance amending chapter 32 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only regarding amendments, deletions to the sign control ordinance of Oconee County and other matters related thereto.
We have one speaker, Mr. Frankie Pearson.
All right, my name is Frankie Pearson. I'm speaking for nobody else in this county. Rescinding this ordinance, in my personal opinion, is a mistake. Granted, I was at a meeting we had, and a gentleman came up and said, "Oh, I started to do this, and y'all come up with this ordinance." There's ways around letting this gentleman put up his billboard if he bought property to do so. But doing away with this ordinance, I go right around all over the county and I see nothing but billboards. I don't think we need more billboards in the county, and as soon as you do away with this ordinance, we're gonna have all kind of billboards. And it's not, the billboards doesn't affect you when you're pulling up at a stop sign to look both ways. They're up high enough where you can see under them for the most part. It's just an eyesore. Our county is too beautiful. Just like you go from Westminster to Seneca, you've got 9 or 10 billboards, one right after another down through there. Most of them have the identical same advertisement on them. I mean, I don't know why you want to advertise the same object on 9 billboards. I mean, I figured one would do the business, but it's ridiculous to rescind something that the county personnel has worked on and got passed and this gentleman had ample time to come up and complain or say something. I was at most of those meetings that this ordinance came up, and I don't remember anyone saying anything against it for the most part. But there's ways to do things, and rescinding an ordinance like this is not the way to do it. Billboards are an eyesore, in my opinion. They're not used like they used to be. Back in the day, you didn't advertise unless you threw it on a billboard. I mean, we didn't have the ways we advertise. Now everybody looks at a cell phone. I guarantee you take 50 people standing right here and ask them how they get their advertisement, 49 of them is going to tell you their phone. They're not going to say, "Oh, I look at billboards when I go down the road." Billboards are just eyesores that we have right now in this county. Other counties have outlawed them, or not outlawed them, but put a hold on them and not letting them put up anymore. We need to keep our county as beautiful as possible, and billboard is not a way to do it.
and there's ways of doing things, and I just feel that y'all need to really look into this. I know that this is third reading, y'all gonna either approve or disapprove this, but send it back to whoever came up with the ordinance to start with, and let them rework it. Let them come up with another, something else that might be a little more satisfying to the government here, plus the public. Get more public people to come to the meetings and voice their opinion. The government can only do so much if everybody sits on their butt at home watching TV and don't come to meetings. Government can only do so much. They can do what they want. They don't do what the public wants. So encourage people to come to meetings. Let's talk about this thing and get a better ordinance made up rather than doing away with the one we have now just because one or two people gripe and fuss because they want to put up a billboard. We have enough billboards in this county. Thank you.
Thank you, Frankie. Okay, hearing no other comments, close the public hearing on ordinance 2023-18.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask for clarification?
Yes.
This ordinance, the third reading, is not doing away, it's my understanding, not doing away with the moratorium on billboards. Is that correct?
Mr. Chairman.
I think you misunderstood, Mr. Pearson.
That is correct. So there was the notion brought up, and I think it's gonna come back up for removing the billboard moratorium, but this just goes to the signs, and it would just remove from the sign provisions the prohibitions against top lighting. Well, that one's gonna actually be left. Signs shall be top lighted with a light source facing downward or internally illuminated. That's gonna be removed. No signs, light source shall be located so as to be seen from residential property was gonna be moved. The big things were 7 and 8, removing the prohibition against automatic changeable messages and move and rotated signage. So it doesn't speak to billboards. I know that's an issue y'all are considering.
Right, but this is not that.
This is not that.
Mr. Rick,
Yes, sir.
what's the last thing you said about rotating signs and flashing signs?
Yeah. Within the sign ordinance now,
I understand that,
this is,
but that's what I'm asking. And you said it doesn't pertain to billboards, but it does. I can tell you a rotating sign, it's at the intersection where Slosky's is, there's one right there that rotates, and a flashing sign, you go down to Publix on 123, they've got like a big television there, it's flashing different things. And this is gonna be pertaining to those two, right?
so this is going to remove the prohibition. So the flashing signs, automatic changing signs shall be permitted now. And the main distinction between the signs is the signs are gonna be advertising for what's happening on the premises versus a billboard is generally advertising for some issue or use or something that's off premises. And this doesn't touch the billboards. It's not off-premise signs. So it's just about the signs that are advertising for the business and removing the prohibition that's in there now, but it'll be gone. So automatic changeable messages could be allowed, and moving and rotating signage can be allowed.
Mr. Davis brought this up. I'm speaking to him since he's not here, but he brought this up mainly because several gas stations had come before the ZBA to get a variant for this, and they granted it. So, it's like it's getting passed through the ZBA anyway. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Okay, so I apologize, I lost my placekeeping, so I did amend the agenda to talk about the ballistics for the police vehicles, so I'd like to do that for the next item. So technology changes, was a point in time when we didn't have ballistic bulletproof vests. Well, when they first came out, they was prohibitive, cost-wise. But technology changes, there's several departments around the country who's switching and adding ballistic windshields. If you're not aware, what the sheriff just brought up, Deputy Watts was shot through the windshield. And what I would like to do is I would like to, in a second, I'll make a motion for the county to seek proposals for protective windshields, ballistic windshields for our deputies' vehicles, and to bring that back to council.
You made a motion?
I'll make that motion right now.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, so are we talking about just the windshields? talking about the front windshield, or the back and front, or the windows also, or?
Well, they, from what I've looked at, so I looked at this 2 years ago when the deputy's vehicle was disabled at Highway 130. And a lot of technology's changed, and I regret I didn't take action on it then, because maybe if I did, Lucas wouldn't be in the situation he's in now. But we can look at all, I mean, they have it for front glass, side glass, they have armor protection you can put inside the door panels. I mean, we can have the proposal to coordinate with the sheriff's department on.
Can we ask the sheriff to come up and just tell us what he thinks?
They also have glass that's one way where you can't shoot in, but you can still shoot out.
I would say let's reach for it all at this point. Let's get some pricing and see what it looks like, you know, and have it broke down, you know, front glass, back glass, side glasses, if that's
Yes.
okay.
What, Sheriff, what do you see out there in the state right now? Is there a standard out there that you see in other counties or?
No, sir, I'm not up to date at this point, Mr. Mize, really be able to tell you. I know there's some, like Mr. Durham has said, you know, technology's changed. We used to wear bulletproof vests that weigh you down. They're thin as they can be now, you know, very, very comfortable and wearable. And that technology is the same in other ballistic panels, and, you know, bulletproof glass used to be that thick. Now it doesn't have to be, you know, with the technology, so. Like I say, we've just started. Let us reach out, and we'll be glad to get some data, get some proposals, get some pricing, and let's look at it and see.
And that would be retrofits for what he has now, but last meeting, we bought how many vehicles for the sheriff's department?
3 the last meeting, when we're purchasing 3 again this evening.
So we would need to make sure that that's included before delivery of those vehicles.
So the ones on the agenda this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm so sorry. The ones on the agenda this evening are already vehicles on lots, which is why there's a push to get them, because they're available. And I don't know that we'll be able to retrofit any part of it, but whatever proposals we look at to bring back for consideration, delivery of these vehicles will be included in that.
And I may be wrong, Mr. Bynes, I don't know that we can get it from the manufacturer. I think it will be a third-party vendor. We'll have to go through another vendor for that, just like we do the radios, blue lights, you know, things like that. It'd have to be
Okay.
simple.
I just want to make sure that they were included in the proposal that's going to get made.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sheriff. So we had a motion, we had a second. Any further discussion? Not all in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Okay, now we have third reading of the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023 -18. I'm gonna reread it since it's been a few minutes since public hearing. An ordinance amending chapter 32 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards and particulars only regarding amendments, deletions to the sign control ordinance of Oconee County and other matters related thereto. I have a motion?
So moved.
Motion?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
All right, we have second reading on the following ordinances. Ordinance 2023-20, an ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a public infrastructure reimbursement agreement by and between Oconee County and Seneca Cotton Mill Landlord LLC in connection with the establishment of certain facilities located in Oconee County. 2, the benefits of a multi-county industrial or business park to be made available to Seneca Cotton Mill Landlord LLC and the project site. And 3, other matters related thereto.
So moved.
Have a motion, Mr. Elliott?
Second.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
First reading of the following ordinances. An ordinance authorizing the execution and delivery of a residential lease agreement between Oconee County as lessor and James Kent Crooks as leasee of certain real property, including all improvements thereon, located at 207 Crooks Road, Seneca, South Carolina, and other matters related thereto.
Make a motion.
Motion, Mr. Hart.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mize. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I think he's had this lease for 5, maybe longer, I don't know, several years, because I remember voting on this several times.
Okay.
It was his father's house, and the county bought it, and he leases it now that his father's passed away.
Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
Vote is 4-0.
Next is ordinance 2023-22, and ordinance amending chapter 32 of the Oconee County Code of Ordinances in certain limited regards, in particulars only regarding the establishment and development standards in relation to lighting, buffering, and open space retention for new residential subdivision developments of 25 acres or more, and other matters related thereto. Have a motion?
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Elliott. Have a second? Second, I'll second. Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just jump in this point, I think I relayed it at least to one of y'all, but Mr. Cooley and I got together to do the attachment A for this, and just wanted to make it clear that we did it. I don't want to say in a truncated form, but try to make it as succinct and outline-ish, that's a word, for you all, because I know you all had a discussion you want to do it on. Planning Commission will have deliberation, so it's meant, I would have more detail in it, but it has all the essential items, but it's meant to be a springboard for further discussions, such as, do we want to apply it to commercial too, and any other issues?
All right, thank you, Mr. Root. Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'd love for us to pass this, just so it goes down to the planning commission, because they spent last night talking about development standards, and, you know, here again, we could vote it down if you want to vote it down on second or third reading, but I think, and I think it ought to apply to commercial. I think that was actually my intent, was commercial and residential, not to discriminate. So, but anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Hart.
we want all the lights to shine down, is that what they were saying?
That's the intent, yes.
Okay. Well, I went by the church Sunday morning, and they had their little sign out there, and it had lights at the bottom shining up on it. And it's been like that, I don't know how long. I went on up to and I know this is inside the city limits, but I went on up to the Christmas lights, and I never did see any of them that were all shining down. And that, it's either Depot or Railroad Street, the city of Seneca has a globe there. And it has a top on it, and it has a bottom on it, and the light just flows out all directions. And I cannot see why it needs to be shining down. I think one of the first commandments God gave was let there be light.
And
So-
I think God meant us to see the lights in the sky. If you go to Atlanta, you go to Greenville, you can't see the lights in the sky. You cannot see the stars, you cannot see the moon. Go to Mr. McCall's Dollar General at 1:30. He has those lights pointed downward. It's beautiful.
Well, what are you gonna do about the moon when it's shining and you can't see the stars? You think Oconee County is gonna get a shade to block it to where you can see the stars?
I can see the stars when I see the moon. Maybe you can.
Any further discussion?
Yeah, I got one comment. We look at these ordinances and try to make them as workable as it can be. But this particular one, how enforceable is it? Is what I'm gonna start asking about these ordinances. How are we gonna enforce it?
Mr. Root.
It'd be by the code enforcement officer, and so very enforceable, the biggest limitation would be personnel.
But when you're talking lighting, it gets subjective.
Yeah, and we try to make it as objective as you can, but yeah, there's no question, it's hard to
I
make it
just think it's
perfectly
gonna be-
objective.
I think it's gonna be difficult to truly enforce it with as many signs as in the county and the lighting. And we don't have enough code enforcement guys as it is. So that's my comment on that. I'm just gonna start asking how enforceable are these ordinances that we're voting on?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
what about this poor old lady that's scared to death at night? And she's got these motion active lights that come on, and they happen to be shining other than down out. We gonna just say, no, you gotta have them turned down, get you a 38 and sit there beside the window? Or we gonna let her have this place lit?
I think the intent was if you want to have street lights in a neighborhood of 25 acres or more, and a new development, whether it's commercial or real estate, that was the intent. Like I said, the planning commission will have a chance to answer some of these questions. I think if we give them a chance. I think they're looking for direction. They spent an hour and 10 minutes last night, Mr. Pearson, and got nowhere with it. I think they need our help, they need our direction. Maybe this isn't it. But we gotta start somewhere, guys.
I'm good with voting on this one to, like you said, springboard it into further action. And that's gonna put the emphasis on the planning commission to come up with the right words and conditions that can be enforceable.
So I don't oppose commercial or street lighting, being regulated to point downward. You don't want a Dollar General across from you shining lights right in your window. Some of the buffering requirements, stuff like that, I don't agree with, but, so I'm gonna make a motion so we can give better guidance and break it down further. And Mr. Edward, you'll be free to provide input too. Let's send it to the Planning and Economic Development Committee and then come up with better guidelines for there before we send it to the Planning Commission, where it'd be just a free-for-all. Give better guidelines. That's
I
my
second.
motion.
So
Second.
will this be amendment to?
It's really an intervening motion to refer it to a committee, to this committee in this case.
I'm fine with that.
Second, Mr. Elliott. Any discussions on that motion? All in favor?
That is 4-0.
Next, we have first and final reading for the following resolutions. Resolution 2023-17, a resolution consenting to the assignment and assumption of a fee agreement by and among Epic Clemson LLC, Inland Real Estate Acquisitions LLC, in Oconee County, South Carolina, and other related matters. Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion, Mr. Elliott, second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4-0.
Okay, resolution 2023-18, a resolution authorizing the execution and delivery of a performance agreement by and between Oconee County, Bind America LLC, and the South Carolina Coordinating Council for Economic Development and other related matters.
So moved.
Motion,
Second.
second, any discussion? All in favor?
That is 4-0.
Resolution 2023-19, a resolution ratifying, approving, and consenting to the partial assignment and assumption to BASF Metals LLC of a fee agreement by and between BASF Corporation and Oconee County, South Carolina, and providing for other related matters.
So moved.
Mr. Elliott, motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion? All in favor?
That is 4-0.
Next, we have action items. We have a 2023 or newer tractor and mower for the Department of Solid Waste in the amount of $115,454.60. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. The budget, $120,000. Project cost, $115,454.60 for a balance of $4,545.40. The fund is going to come from the one-time capital fund. And a staff recommendation that council, one, approve the purchase of a 2023 or newer Kubota tractor to Oakway Tractor Incorporated of Seneca, South Carolina, in the amount of $95,691.07. And two, approve the purchase of a 2023 or newer Bushwhacker mower to Hall Manufacturing Incorporated of North Little Rock, Arizona, in the amount of $19,763.53. I have a motion.
So moved.
Mr. Elliott, motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Miles. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Aye.
That is 4-0.
Next, we have the purchase of a 25-patient mass casualty trailer, the Department of Emergency Services, the amount of $76,950, with a contingency of $8,050 for a total of $85,000. Procurement to be approved by council in fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. Budget $85,000, project cost $85,000, balance $0, funding is a 100% grant. It is staff's recommendation that council approve purchase of a 25-patient mass casualty trailer and equipment to Southeastern Specialty Vehicles of Henderson, North Carolina, in the amount of $76,950, plus a contingency in the amount of $8,050 for a total award of $85,000. Second, authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this grant project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount.
So moved.
Mr. Elliott, motion.
Second.
Second, Mr. Hart. Any discussion?
Yeah, I do have one thing for it. I read through the specs on this trailer. I'm a car kind of guy, and I read through the specs on stuff like this, but I would, best I can determine, I would suggest 16-inch wheels. It comes with 15s. This is gonna be a trailer, it's gonna have a fair amount of payload to it, and it's got 5,200-pound axles, double 5,200-pound axles, and typically you have 16-inch wheels, which comes usually with commercial tires, and it would extend the lifetime and better service, provide better service for it. That's one change I would make to it if it's possible.
Is that possible to make that change?
That's why I was looking at Mr. Crime, Mr. Chairman.
Did
I
it
feel
change
like if it is possible, sir.
Did it change the total cost?
Well, this is 100% grant funding. I'm unaware if the granting agency wrote the specs for it or if the county wrote the specs and received the fund.
Okay, I'm just making a suggestion.
We will be glad to look at what they do offer. We did take specs from one that was already built for the organization providing the grant. But we'll be glad to, that's part of what the contingency is for, so when we do see things that need to be changed from actually physically seeing the one that is already built, to make sure that we have the correct for us.
Hopefully it's not used or rolled out very often.
Correct.
so. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
4-0.
Next, we have the purchase of a skid-mounted mobile generator, Department of Emergency Services, the amount of $71,765, with a contingency of $7,176.50, for a total of $78,941.50. Procurement to be approved by council's fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. Budget $285,060. Project cost $78,941.50. Balance $206,118.50. Funding is from Hazard Mitigation Grant Award That's a 90% grant and a county 10% match. It is staff's recommendation that council approve the purchase of a deployable portable generator to National Power LLC of Raleigh, North Carolina, in the amount of $71,765. Approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $7,176.50. Authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this grant project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Elliott.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mize. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. How did we get this price? The reason I say that, I went on, I think it's, Mechanico, and they've got one same qualifications as this for $35,000, half of this price. And it has a Rolls-Royce engine in it too. So I think we need to look into this somewhere better than this, because the one that I looked at was a 2022 model.
What was the name of the website, Mr. Hart?
Machine, and then I think it's, spell out machine with I-O on the end of it. It is a website, and you go in there, and all you gotta do is type in, generator 80 kW, and it'll pop up and give you 5 of them to choose up. And this one, they had some in there, of course, now they were older models, but they was 3 times the power that this one has.
And Mr. Hart, this is a 90% grant award. I
Okay.
don't believe the grant allows for us to buy used equipment. When we can buy used equipment that's in good condition.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm not positive that's the case, but typically grants require you to buy new equipment.
Okay,
I will
that's fine.
verify that for you though.
Okay. I'm just trying to look out for the taxpayer's dollar.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Ms. Hart. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4-0.
Next, we have video management system upgrade, camera system, and it's for the detention center, in the amount of $166,500 with a contingency of $16,650 and a sales tax of $9,990 for a total of $193,140. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-2024 budget process. Budget $450,000. Project cost $193,140. Balance of $256,860. Funding is from the one-time appropriations funding from the SC Department of Public Safety. This purchase is 100% paid from this one-time appropriations. It is the staff's recommendations that council, 1, approve the award of VMS system camera upgrade to Accurate Controls Incorporated of Ripon, Wisconsin, in the amount of $166,500. Approve a 10% contingency in the amount of $16,650. And authorize the county administrator to execute documents for this grant project and sign any change orders within the contingency amount, and approve the payment of $9,990 to the SC Department of Revenue for sales and use tax.
So moved.
Motion, Mr. Elliott.
Second.
Second, Mr. Mize. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4-0.
All right, so we skipped Terracon. Okay, next is purchase order 55301 for Thomas and Hutton Phase 2 of engineering for the Golden Corner Commerce Park mass grading. It's from the Department of Economic Development. Amount is Phase 1, $169,385. Phase 2 is $75,165. For a total of $244,550. Procurement was approved by council in fiscal year 2023-24 budget process. Budget $244,550. Project cost $244,550 with a balance of zero. It is the staff's recommendation that council, one, approve Phase 2 engineering for the mass grading project at Golden Corner Commerce Park to Thomas and Hutton of Greenville, South Carolina, in the amount of $75,165 for a total purchase order of $244,550. Authorize the county administrator to transfer funds to the appropriate line items.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Discussion.
Yes. It's been 3 or 4 months ago when we had Hutton come in here and give us a report. At that time, we told him we wanted the whole project. Did we ever pay him for that one time when he was here? Was they get paid for that upfront? I
For
guess.
phase 1, Mr. Hart?
Well, I don't know where you'd call it phase 1, but they had it for about, what, 40-something odd acres, and they topoed something like 60-some odd acres and gonna have a level side of 40-some odd acres.
Yes, sir.
Did we pay them for that then?
So it's on a PO, which is a purchase order, and they invoice based on the amount of work they've done. The second phase that's under consideration for this evening is the second part of what you're discussing. So this part is for the permitting and the consulting, design, and permitting for the drawing that they brought for approval before.
And it's 75,000.
$75,165.
That sounds like we're getting a deal on that.
Every step we take toward Golden Corner is a good step. Every step we take toward development of Golden Corner is a very good step. Now, this is more than we would anticipate 10 years ago. I believe that you and I discussed this. We had a plan a few years ago, and I found it. It's about 16,000 more than it was about 11 years ago, I think that document was. But with inflation, and we know what that is nowadays, I do believe this is the best deal for us.
Thank you, Mr. Hart. Any other comments? So I have some questions, if I may ask, Mr. Gilbert. So there's been information put out that the Golden Corner Commerce Park isn't suited for heavy industry. You may come up if you like. Isn't suited for heavy industry, that its core samples reveal that it's not compaction rate, it can't be achieved for industry and development. Suni?
That is, Mr. Chairman, that assertion is completely false. And it's not backed by any of the engineering studies that have been done in the past at Golden Corner. There have been 3 geotech reports done. There was one done in 2004 by Goldie and Associates. There was another report, a geotech report done by SNME, and then that was in 2014. And then we just had one done for the pad graded area on the northern side of the park that we're talking about tonight. And all of those reports show that they're, looked at all the soil conditions, the types that are there, what is on top, how it was previously used, and their conclusion in every single report is that this park and this site can support industrial development, and it can support, in terms of up to 3,000 square feet per square foot, 3,000 pounds per square feet in terms of the slab that would go into the buildings there. So it is well suited for industrial. I've heard those same rumors that you've heard about the park, and I did speak with Richard Blackwell, who is the former Economic Development Director here for a very long time, who has worked on that park. And, when Michelin looked around and when other projects looked, and he's told me in no instance was that park ruled out because of soil conditions. It was ruled out either because we didn't have sewer there at the time, or because the company made internal decisions like Michelin that they didn't want to be on the 85 corridor, but the Interstate 26 corridor. So that was a locational decision based on their customers and market. And then if you look at other industries, they've gone to OITP because that site was graded, it was ready, and you had Tri-County Tech and the Hamilton Career and Technology Center there. So the ones that have looked where we made the short list, yes, we may have not won those projects, but it wasn't because of soil conditions. So anybody that says that, it's just not correct information, and we have all the reports that show that the site is very capable of supporting industrial development out there.
Thank you. So we have due diligence that says otherwise.
3 different engineering firms, all of which are very well respected, that work manufacturing industrial projects as kind of the staple for what they do. And they all concluded, yes, the site works well for industrial.
Ask a question. You know, if you're gonna tell a lie, you ought to do it to where you can't be checked on it. Now, if I was gonna tell you a lie about Dallas, Texas, first thing I'd do is say, have you ever been to Dallas? And you said, no, I've never been there. I could tell you anything I wanted to about Dallas, and there wouldn't be a thing that you would know any difference. Everyone who told that lie didn't know that they could be checked up on.
Well, I would say this, Mr. Hart, and you know, the Economic Development Department, you know, we get calls, we get emails, you know, from our constituents. You know, Tony has emailed me before asking questions. We will always respond back if we get inquiries about what we're doing, the projects we have confidentially, obviously, but on our product, the things that we do, and answer those questions for our constituents. I mean, you know, we are open to talking with anybody that has questions, and anything like that, we're happy to answer and provide information on it.
This information came out on social media. Bob,
Anybody that believes social media is an idiot, sorry. Lights off, so.
well,
Mr. Gilbert, to go to the positive of it, I mean, in economic development, what does it mean to have a pre-graded site?
What it means to have a pre-graded site is to see how quickly Oconee Industry and Technology Park developed. When you have that kind of product, and remember, we're talking about a site that's 15, 20 minutes from Interstate 85. And so it's developed in a really quick fashion. And it's, the reason it has is because when we brought projects there, it looks ready to go. It looks like you can develop it quickly. It takes all the mystery and the unanswered questions off the table. So when you have a site that has already been prepared, it's really easy to get those companies to make that commitment. But you go down there and the way it looks today, it doesn't look ready. And as I've said before, when I came here a year and a half ago, the first thing that I wanted to do was to make that site an attractive location. It really has everything in the ground, the utilities, the water, the sewer, the electric, the natural gas, the location near 85 to be extremely successful as an industrial park. And all it takes is a couple of these things cosmetically and to ready it like we did for OITP. It will put us in the game, and I think in quick fashion, we'll see some commitments coming next year as this park starts to give the appearance of being ready for industrial.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I'd like to respond to Mr. Elliott. I agree with you on social media and what you can believe, but this was a video, and it was an individual we all know that stated it, okay? And it's reproducible, and we've got proof that what he's told is not correct. It's an out-and-out untruth, lie. So.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
That is 4-0.
Next, we have council committee reports, Planning and Economic Development Committee. Mr. Miles?
Yes, sir, I got those, Mr. Chairman. Okay, on the Planning and Economic Development Committee meeting, it was held on, we met October 17th, 2023 at 4:30 p.m. On the planning and code enforcement update, Mr. Coley, Planning and Zoning Director, provided an update regarding the Planning and Zoning Department's year-to-date plat reviews, subdivision applications, variances, special exemptions, buffer permits, and new residential addresses, along with code enforcement caseload overview. In the economic development update, Mr. Gilbert, Oconee County Economic Development Director, provided the committee with a detailed second quarter update related to business development activity, real estate product, infrastructure, and operations. And there was some discussion with agriculture-related industry. Ms. Kim Alexander, the Oconee County Agriculture Advisory Board Chair, addressed the committee with a request for support of recruiting agriculture-related businesses to Oconee County. The same day, the Real Estate Facilities and Land Management meeting met October 17th also. We had a PRT update. Mr. Phil Shirley, Parks, Recreation, Tourism Director, provided committee with updates regarding the following topics. The U.S. Army Corps of Engineer lease, Hartwell recreation areas, capital projects update, security operations at Lake Hartwell rec areas. Update regarding the RFP for former Oconee County Courthouse. Ms. Brock provided details regarding the process that Oconee County Procurement has initiated to obtain bids for demolition of the building, noting the following steps. I have a hazardous materials report, an abatement of hazardous materials, open bid for demolition, demolition of building, and future site use. Ms. Brock also informed the committee that the former courthouse is on the National Registry of Historic Places and would need to be removed from that list or obtain permission to demolish the building. And we had an update from the Oconee County Rock Quarry, Mr. Tom Moxley. He's a quarry manager, provided the committee with information regarding the history behind the quarry, along with details related to the quarry sales, the key metrics and goals and future plans and needs of the quarry. And that's all I got, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Miles. For board and commission appointments, we have none at this time. I need a motion to enter executive session to, 1, discuss an economic development matter, Project Cherry. 2, discussion regarding a personnel matter related to the county attorney. Motion?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Need a motion to exit executive session?
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so now we have first and final reading of the following resolution. Resolution 2023-20, a resolution providing preliminary approval pursuant to Title 12, Chapter 44 of the Code of Laws of South Carolina, 1976, as amended for the execution and delivery of a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes and special source revenue credit agreement by and between Oconee County, South Carolina, and a company identified for the time being as Project Cherry, acting for itself, one or more current or future affiliates, and other project companies, collectively company, providing for a fee in lieu of ad valorem taxes incentive, providing for a special source revenue credit, creating or modifying a joint county industrial and business park agreement between Oconee County and Pickens County so as to establish or enlarge the park and other related matters.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second, any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion to adjourn,
Make a motion.
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.